Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. Myself Kuhu Sarkar, and today in this video I'm going to give you a roadmap to crack WB set. So some of my subscribers they asked me to start a online class for WB set. So I told them to join my demo class because I am very much new in this area, so I cannot start online class with two or three students, right? So if there are more than five or six students, I can start. So if any of you are interested to join my online class, you can ask me in my telegram channel, and you can also comment on the comment section. So today in this video I'm going to give you a bird's eyes view that how you can crack WB set with these tricks and tips. So if you ask me that what is the difference between UGC net and WB set, so I can say that there are little difference between UGC net and WB set. Sometimes the UGC net can be easier, and sometimes it can be tougher than WB set. But WB set they always ask questions from canon text, right? And they are focusing more on South Asian writers, Indian literature, and research area also. So in this video I'm going to give you a roadmap to crack WB set. So I hope you know that WB set will be happen on December 15, 2024. So there is some tips and tricks to crack the exam, because if you ask me for to give tips for UGC net, I cannot give you. But if you ask me for WB set to give some tips for WB set, I can. Because when I did my preparation, I what the first thing I did, I went through all the WB set PYQs. And what thing I noticed that sometimes they just copy paste their questions so many times. So there are some particular area where they ask questions repeatedly. So these are some things which can be easier for you than others if you see the PIQs of WB sets. Okay, so this is the first trick or tip for to crack WB set. Okay, now see one by one the points I noted here. First, you should have depth knowledge of famous canon text. So what are the famous canon texts? Like Milton's Paradise Lost, then Beowulf, then the Dickens canon text, Dickens writings. So you know that Milton wrote Paradise Lost, right? And you have the information that it had five cantos and it is dedicated to whom. But what I noticed that WB said most of the time they want the depth knowledge. They want that they want to see that if you read the original text, if you read the original text, and sometimes they gave the paraphrase and ask you questions. Like when I gave my WB set exam, they asked questions from T.S. Eliot's Proof of. So they asked questions from the epigraph, and they gave the original epigraph, mean it was not written in English, so it was very much hard to answer the questions, because they are giving you the original epigraph and it is not written in English, and they ask you to analyze the epigraph. So that type of question they always ask. They want questions, tricky questions like that. Okay, so you should focus on the canon text, and you should know the summary as well, and you should know extra information about the text. Sometimes you cannot Google it also. So these kind of things can be hard for the students. So you should know the canon text, because as I noticed that they always focus on the canon text only. Then in-depth knowledge of Indian literature, as I told you that they focused on the Indian literature most, especially South Asian writers who won the Sahitya Academy Awards, then the Booker Prize, then other prize they own. So they focus on the South Asian writers, Dalit writers most, then Sahitya Academy winners, and Indian aesthetic. They also focus on Indian aesthetics. So now you can see that UGC NET also focusing on Indian literature most, right? So they also focused on Sahitya Academy writers, then South Asian writers, writers of others language like Hindi, Marathi. So they ask question, because if you Google it, you could not get many information from Google about these writers. So it makes this exam much tougher than other exam. Then um, they the most thing they always ask, it is the knowledge about philology, great vowel shift, Grimm's law, Varner's law. So my tips is that you should note down the points of great, what is great vowel shift and how you can identify that, Grimm's law, Varner's law, because if you analyze the PYQ, you can notice that these questions are asked repeatedly in WB set. So you should analyze the, you should note down, you should make note about what is great vowel shift, what is Grimm's law and Varner's law. There are many videos on YouTube, you can watch it. Then American literature, so they always focus on American literature. Most of the time they ask from canon writers and canon text. Okay, so you should know American literature very well. Then African literature, so they also ask African literature, and this something which make this exam easier. Sometimes they ask matching questions. So in theory questions also they ask matching questions, like Foucault wrote what. So you should this matching question make the paper more easy, right? So they ask African writers and their text, and most of the time they ask the canonical writers only. Okay. Then European literature, so you should know European literature very well, their the text and the summary, and you should have depth knowledge, because sometimes they ask so depth question that you cannot answer it. So you should know from Greek classical literature, like Homer wrote what, then the three tragedians, they always ask match the following question or other depth questions, like the Sophocles, then Aeschylus. So you should know their text and their summary very well. So in depth question they ask like one day in one exam they ask questions about Priam, and how he requested Iliad to give his son. So that kind of in-depth question they always ask. In Indian literature also they ask from Aurobindo, then the Dirogio, Michael Madhusudan, then Sarojini Naidu. So these type of ancient writers they always focused on. Okay. Then theory questions, as per me, is much easier than other questions, because they most of the time they ask the literary term with their propounder. So I make some videos also. So they ask like Homike Bhaba wrote what. So these are the match the following questions. So these are much easier than other. So they did not ask depth question from theory, but I cannot assure you, because they might ask also. Okay. Then questions from adaptation and translated literature, so they always ask questions from adaptation, film adaptation mostly. They ask questions from the Hindi film, Hollywood film adaptation of novels, and this is the unique thing they always ask. There will be one or two questions from this film adaptation or translated literature, so you should know this also. Then British literature, from Chaucer period, the Tales of Chaucer, this time you in UGC net also they ask. Then Jacobean dramatists mean Fletcher, then Beaumont, Shakespeare contemporaries. So these dramatists, they always ask, and they always ask match the following question. They copy paste the same question every time. So if you analyze the PYQ, you can understand totally that they ask the women beware women who wrote this. So these writers with their writings you should know, you should aware of. Then romantic period they always ask from Wordsworth, Keats, Byron, and you should know very well of the romantic writers, because they sometimes ask in-depth questions from these romantic writings. Wordsworth writings, then Keats writings, they always focus on Keats very much. Then Augustan age, modern age, you should know postmodern period like Angry Young Man and absurd literature. Then absurd theaters, they ask this type of questions. Then you should know about research aptitude. So sometimes they ask paper 1 question in paper 2, in paper 2. Say they ask about MLA, APA. Then magazines, you know that some questions from the magazine like Spectre, Tatler, they ask questions from these also. So sometimes they ask questions from language like who, Babu literature, and then cultural, they ask questions from cultural studies, the canonical writers only, the propaganda with their terms. Okay. Then, so how to prepare for the exam? So there are some tips you should note down this. Like, check all PIQ of WB set. So you should first check all the PIQ of WB set, and I told you that how you should analyze the PIQ. You should read it first, and then the you should know the options. Also you should answer, you should analyze the options, and you should try to get the concepts from the options. So with explanation, sometimes they gave same question repeatedly, as I told you that they copy paste the same question. Check all PIQ of UGC net. So UGC net you should know, know from 2024 to 2020, from 2014 to 2024, because sometimes they ask the previous year's questions and they gave the same question as it is. So check all PIQ of UGC net exam. Some concepts can be asked. Then questions will be asked from theory, philology, and phonology, as I already told you. Jacobean period is very much important. Jacobean period, then restoration dramatists, they are always important. How English came to our India. So you should know the history very well, because sometimes they ask questions from higher education also. Search all film adaptation, especially Hollywood movies. So Hollywood movies, sometimes they ask silly questions. So there are many Hollywood adaptation, and the titles are very much funny, so they ask this type of questions. Then publication date of all important texts are also important, because they sometimes ask questions like tales of two cities, then the tales of two cities, then Darwin's writing. So this publication date, like they will ask that this publication date and the text they will given, and you have to match the you have to write the right option. Okay. So these type of question they ask. So like UGC net also, they ask publication date, but there are less amount of chronological questions. also. Okay, so there are less kind of chronological question, but you should know the important dates of publication. And sometimes they ask silly questions, sometimes they ask question which you cannot google it, but sometimes there are many questions which are given wrong. I don't know why. So if you get some questions which are totally wrong, you should answer it, because they will give you the full marks. Okay, so that's all. I think this will help you very much, because it helps me to crack the exam, and it will help you. And if you want any kind of help, or if you want to join my online class, you should message me on telegram, or on comment section. So that's all. I hope you like this video. If you like it, please like and comment, hit the comment section. Okay, thank you very much.